Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next two house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to SaveWithConrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at SaveWithConrad.com. Shoot me an email at Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105. Or get yourself a quick quote, even talk to a live person right now at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at SaveWithConrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and we are live with the one and only voice of professional wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
You know, the voice of professional wrestling is like being the skinniest kid at fat camp, kind of. But
I don't know, man. I
I'm
don't
glad
know
to,
about that.
I'm glad to be here.
We're excited to be with you. We're throwing the keys to the audience today here on Grilling JR for what we call Ask JR Anything. And man, as we sifted through the questions this week, Jim, it was just an over amount of support and praise. I mean, an overwhelming amount of positive messages. Is that what your timeline has been for the past couple of months?
Oh yeah, it's been great. It's been very uplifting and motivational to see so many people care about my health. But my health's good. I'm cancer free. I'm feeling good. I had a little booking conflict that was my fault. I was supposed to go to Knoxville to the Fanboy Expo, which is not going to happen, simply because I'll be in Texas, and it's like Murphy's Law, man. Anything that can happen, screwed up, is what's happening. I wanted to be in Knoxville. I look forward to being at the Fanboy Expo. It's just not going to happen. But we'll make up for it somewhere down the road, no doubt about that. But I'm back doing appearances. So anybody out there that needs a fat okie to show up and sign some autographs or take some pictures or whatever, let's do it. So uh, I have to kind of monitor my intake a little bit, but nonetheless, life is good, and I just gotta keep up with my shit. I need an assistant, but I don't have
Well,
one.
I think we can help make that happen. I think you buried the lead there. First of all, I do hate to hear that you're not going to be able to make an advertised appearance with Fanboy Expo in Knoxville. I know they always do a great job, and
Yeah,
from what I understand, Jerry the King Lawler is going to be in the house and others. So if you're still going to the Fanboy Expo in Knoxville, I hope you guys have a blast. But you said you'll be in Texas, so I think that means, if I'm reading the tea leaves here, is it official, Jim? Are you going to be at All In, AEW's first stadium show here in America?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I just got the dates, you know, screwed up. That's my fault. I didn't. It just didn't correlate for me. But nonetheless, yeah, I'll be there. Uh, I'm going to come in. I'm going to fly in on Thursday and do our business on Friday, and then I'll be at the pay per view on Saturday, right?
That's exactly right. It is a Saturday matinee. It's All In. Tickets are on sale now at AEWTIX.com. Of course, the entire wrestling world will be taking a look at Arlington that day, specifically Globe Life Field. It's a matinee affair, but before we get started, on Friday and Saturday morning, StarCast is here. I don't know if you heard, but JR just said, and then on Friday, we'll take care of our business. Jim wants to meet you. We have just discussed it before we went live this morning. JR will be with us. We'll be doing pro photos with him on Friday, July 11th. And I think this might be one of the more unique photo ops we've ever had an opportunity to do. Jim, the rumor and innuendo is that AEW is bringing one of their announce desks to StarCast, so fans will be able to get their photo made with you at an AEW announce desk. How cool is that, Jim?
That's pretty good. It's a nice keepsake. It's good. It's good. It's unique, and it'll be a photo op that a lot of folks have never had before. So I'm excited about that opportunity. I just wish I could be in Knoxville. It's just not going to work out this time, but it'll all come to pass. We'll be diligent and we'll do more appearances. It's just a matter of getting booked and moving ahead.
Absolutely. We are so glad to hear that you're going to be back behind the microphone calling professional wrestling. Again, that's happening on Friday, July 11th at StarCast is where you can get your photo with him. Saturday, July 12th is when Jim Ross returns to AEW at the All In pay-per-view. Breaking news here on Grilling JR. Eric Turner is with us here live, and he has a great question for you today, Jim. He says, what was the toughest part of treatment? My father had lung cancer, and I saw the toll it took on him, and I was just wondering what was the hardest part. So obviously we know there's the physical stuff, but Jim, there's probably emotional stuff and mental stuff. I mean, what was the most difficult piece of this battle for you, Jim?
Well, just fighting through it and asking yourself, what if this is not healing? What if this is not working the way we want it to? Fear. I think fear is the biggest enemy. I have good doctors here in Jacksonville, so that all worked out fine. So I'm just very blessed that I got past the worst part. So as we stand here now, and you and I are talking to our fans and stuff, I'm very happy that I'm where I am health wise. Lucky, very lucky. So it's all good, man. You just gotta stay positive and move forward, and that's what I've tried to do. Even though there were days where I was wondering if this was meant to be, but obviously it is meant to be. Here I am. Here we are. So let's get on with it.
Roll Tide on that, man. Roll Tide on that. Thomas wants to know, I enjoy listening to how you relate to talent and communicate with them. Besides communicating a lot, have you got any other talent relation tips that you can share?
Yeah.
From a management standpoint, what are some of your tips for managing talent?
Be on time. Be smart about your time management. Don't be late. Don't no show like I'm doing in Knoxville. But that's just my fault. That's just a clerical error. I wish it hadn't occurred, but it is. But we'll make up for it going forward, no doubt about it. I'll circle back around to Knoxville at some point in time, and we'll go from there.
J.M. Wagner.
Timeliness is a key issue here, Conrad. Being on time, being reliable is key. And I pride myself in that, quite frankly. But, sometimes things happen. You just got to roll with the punches and move on.
J.M. Wagner has an interesting talent relations type question. He wants to know, how do payouts work for tag teams and stables? Was each member of the team on separate contracts but paid equally? How did merch checks work for stables? Was everyone equal, but if a new member was added, did everyone then get less? That is interesting. From a tag team standpoint, if a tag team or a stable are selling merch, do you just split it amongst all the members? Is that the way it goes?
Yeah, they all get a piece, and it all works out evenly at the end of the day. So yeah, it's you got to take care of everybody as best you can. The more slices of the pie that are doled out, the smaller the slices are. But bottom line is that everybody gets paid, and they all get a slice of the pie. That's how I look at it, and it's got to be a shared revenue situation. And the formula now is everybody gets a piece. It may not be as big a slice as they want, but it's a slice nonetheless. And I think that's a fairest way of looking at it.
Well, let's talk about tag teams here for a minute. I know that if they come in as individuals and then are later put together as a tag team, well, that's different. But if you had a team who came in as a tag team and now they're going to be, signed as a tag team and performing as a tag team, were they more often than not on the exact same deal, like a Rock and Roll Express or a Midnight Express or the Steiner Brothers or that sort of thing? Do these guys start with the same exact contract value?
Pretty much, pretty much. You don't pay Scott Steiner more than you pay Rick Steiner. You don't pay Ricky and Robert separately. So they're all encouraged to market their products and their appearances, and so it works out pretty good. At the end of the day, it's pretty fair. Pretty fair. Nobody's ever going to make what they want to make. That's just the nature of the beast. But nonetheless, they're all treated fairly, and so it's an old formula that seems to be working. And I know that guys are making more money on merch nowadays than they ever made. So it's a it's a pretty good system. It's not flawless, but it's a pretty good system.
Hey, I do want to ask you, when you're thinking about how you are going to decide who's paid what for any given show, you're going to do payroll for a show and we're going to figure out who gets what. So, as we're thinking in that line of thinking, what was your formula or mathematical equations for payouts? Like, I've been told that, X amount goes to the talent and X amount goes to the main event. Is the rest of it just positioning on the card? I ask that because sometimes, we talk about that first spot on a wrestling show and you'll hear guys use from yesteryear, oh, that's the curtain jerker position.
Mm.
But in more modern times, we hear people say, man, the second one of the most important matches on the show is not just the main event, but it's how we get started.
Right.
That is a prime piece of real estate. So, how did you reconcile all of that way back when? And were there best practices maybe for doing payroll, Jim?
I think common sense. If you had a team that was put together, you pay them pretty much equally. If they're not equal to some degree, I can think of examples where one member of the team got a little bit more than the other member of the team, but that's just the nature of that beast. So it's a lot of just logic, Connie. Just logic is very important. Common sense, being fair is the key. And so, yeah, I'm a big believer in equality. And if you can't have a team without, let's say, two guys, you want to pay those two guys as close to each other as you can, even though there are times when one talent is a bigger star considerably than his tag team partner. You want to make sure that you don't let it get to be too disproportionate. So it's a unique little situation. A lot of it is just logic and common sense.
When you're thinking about, the Cowboys formula for doing payroll, do you remember what that was?
Yeah, generally, uh, you paid the main event's got 3% of the net gross, and so if the house is $100,000, that means that somebody probably made $3,000. But it's just a matter of, like I said, logic. If I had Kevin Nash teaming with a lesser known person,
Right.
the Kevin Nash made more money than the lesser known person. It's just a star system. And your charge, if you're the lesser known, is to get over and make yourself more valuable. And that's kind of where I looked at it is all men are not created equal in that regard.
Is it fair to say that on some level, when you're doing payouts, you have to recognize who was the attraction and who was the opponent? So,
Of
in the
course,
example you just gave, perhaps Kevin Nash is Diesel, he is the attraction,
right?
but the opponent, maybe respectfully someone else on the roster.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody's not like I said. It's not a democracy.
Yeah.
It's just not. So it's whoever sells the most tickets in your view. It's very opinionated. It's So and like I said, you're never going to make everybody happy with discretionary funds. It's just not. Now there's more of a formula as far as who gets the bigger piece of that pie we talk about, and and go from there. Sometimes you have discussions with talent about their pay, which is very rare, very usual. It's not unusual, but you hope at the end of the day it all works out for both parties, and they are happy or somewhat happy because they're never going to be totally happy. But you hope that at some point down the line that it's all going to work out to some fair distribution of discretionary money. It's hard. It's not an easy job.
Let me ask you, we've all heard that, the touring NWA champion made a standard amount. There was an expectation as the NWA champion of what your pay would be, but relative to the gate and that sort of things. Do you think Vince had some sort of champion's pay model in mind, or was his more of a main event pay model? Or, I mean, we've heard the NWA version forever. Did Vince have a champion's rule of thumb?
Yeah, kinda. I think for example, Austin made 5% of the net gross, so that's the net after taxes. So if that number was $100,000 gate, they'd make 5 grand. That's pretty easy math. And some guys are happy with that, and some guys weren't. But it's a matter of, quite frankly, it's like I said many times, it's just a matter of communicating in a fair and upfront manner to resolve the issue if there is one. So, but nowadays it seems like talents are more used to this discretionary money. They understand somewhat the formula that's utilized. You got to have some sort of formula. And like I said, Austin made 5% of the net gross as a rule, sometimes more. So it worked out pretty. It has, in my experience, which I haven't done that job in a long time, it has worked out pretty well.
Let's follow up here about Austin. DB Cooper James has a great question. He says, "What was Austin's highest earning year?" Now, of course, we're not asking you to give us a dollar figure, but you were around for these peak years of the wrestling business. Do you think Austin earned more in 98, 99, 2001? Of course, 2001 is the year where at WrestleMania he's going to turn heel, but that was one of the bigger years in the history of the company. Obviously, Rock and Austin at WrestleMania 17 was, just a record breaking event. And then we did the Invasion later that year, which, although creatively maybe wasn't fulfilling, that Invasion pay per view did record business. So I'm sure merch was flying off the shelves and all that sort of stuff. But 99, before the heel turn, I could see that being his peak year. Do you remember what Austin's best year was financially? Again, not how much he made, just what calendar year it was.
Not, excuse me, not really. 99 would be a good educated guess. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. Pardon me. I don't know verbatim uh, where all that stood. He made so much money, and the money he made from events, live events, certainly uh, were matched, at least matched, if not more, by the merchandise that he was earning. So, but 99 is a good place to start.
Let's do talk about, that merch heel piece of business, because La Flama Blanca asks a great question. Did you ever add more cheese to the Whopper when a babyface turned heel and now loses out on merch money. Jericho is famous for not wanting merch when he's a heel. Always a great listen and a speedy recovery to you. So, yeah, let's talk about that. Like, we know Austin is going to be doing record business in the merch category. And then we're going to turn him heel in 2001. Now, we heard years later, Vince allegedly would sort of push back on any suggestion that John Cena should be a heel. And I think the phrase we always heard attributed to that conversation was, "This man feeds us." I guess the idea being that John Cena was such a huge merch mover that you might be cannibalizing your business in order to turn him heel. So I get that that may have been Vince's reaction from the experiment with turning Austin heel. But do you remember that being a delicate balance of, obviously everybody wants to make as much money as they can at their job, but
Right.
from a merch standpoint, baby faces are going to sell more merch typically. How do you balance that when you're doing payroll?
Well, you're right about you're right about the typically. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I got a frog in my throat, but you gotta look at it realistically. Austin still sold the tickets.
Yeah.
He still put an ass every 18 inches, and that's something important to note and to recognize. So his star power, I can remember events where he had turned heel, and then he came out on TV and he got a huge pop. So it's hard to quantify all that, Conrad. But Austin, he did great as a babyface or a heel because he was a star, and stars sell tickets. So it was just unique in that respect. He was the exception to the normal rule that when you turn somebody from babyface who's pretty hot to heel, that it was just a different equation. So it didn't cost him a lot of money to become a heel. Him Austin becoming a heel was Austin's call. That's what he wanted to do to fulfill his creativity. And I didn't agree with it. Like I told him the same example I say here. It's like making John Wayne a Nazi. It don't work. So you don't want to penalize somebody because the creative decision was to turn them heel. Because you turn somebody heel doesn't mean that they're less of a star. And I understand the questions that would arise, but Austin was just an exception to the rule.
Do you remember? I mean, because I can't help but think about this in modern terms. Like, these days, we see a lot of chatter online from fans who think creatively they really wish Cody Rhodes would turn heel. They think he would be a great heel. But we also see how much merch Cody is selling. I mean, he's one of their biggest baby faces, and obviously their top baby face star. And as a result, has sold just bukus of merch for years at this point. So it does feel like we might be throwing the baby out with the bathwater if we've got something that's working to slow that down. Do you think that, the merch is really what kept Vince from turning John Cena heel? Like, if Vince didn't have merch in mind, is there another reason to keep a character a babyface that entire time, Jim?
Well, financially, yeah. If you use the old school logic and formula, but I don't know how John Cena's merchandise is doing nowadays. That he's a
Right.
quote unquote heel, but he didn't not become a star. He's John's still a star, and I'm sure he's still selling merchandise. So no, I don't. There are exceptions to the basic old school rule that when you turn somebody heel, that they're going to sell less merchandise. I understand the logic. I don't totally disagree with the logic, but if you're a star, you're a star. Cena's a star. Austin was a star, and you took care of those guys accordingly.
Well, we're going to take care of some business here because we're going to show you how to get that wiener real, real hard with our friends at Blue Chew. All right, guys, enter the room. Dick first. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. Like someone gave your downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership, Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. Sometimes I take a Blue Chew just to make standing in line easier. Gives you something to lean on. Hey, serious business. Blue Chew's the real deal. I can't tell you how much fun we've had with these ad reads over the year, but if you've never tried it, what are you waiting for? You're going to feel like a kid again. I'm just telling you, when you use Blue Chew and you're with your special person, your partner in crime, your tag team partner in life, I don't know, it does feel different. You'll notice a difference. They'll notice a difference. Roll Tide, man. Guys, this isn't just about performance. This is about your legacy or your third legacy. Give our group chat something to talk about. You know, when you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up, and nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Go try it right now and discover your options at bluechew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, you can get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use our promo code JR at checkout and pay the $5 shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head right now to bluechew.com for details and important safety information. And a big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast.
Loyal, and one of the reasons that they're on our show seems like every week is that the product works. And in our life, we want to find products that we utilize that work for us and our personal being, shall we say. So as a matter of fact, Conrad, I chewed up a Blue Chew last night.
Really? What happened?
I got very ready to take care of business. It works.
Well, did you close your business?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. That goes without saying. So yeah, it's a great product. You get results with it, and I like the fact that they're chewable. They get in your system quicker, and all that stuff. So I'm a very satisfied customer, shall we say?
I love it.
Yeah, and you guys will be the same if you try it. And right now, what a hell of a deal! It's free.
Yeah, just pay your first month shipping. How do you beat that?
I don't think you can.
Let's go to Bradley Johnson. He wants to know, and boy, this is an interesting question. What was your reaction the first time Vince lost his mind on you through the headset? Did you get a heads up from the other broadcasters that was very likely to happen?
No, not really. It wasn't unpredictable. Vince is very competitive and very demanding. But I work for Bill Watts. You don't think Bill Watts wasn't demanding? It's just the fact that in those days, Bill didn't have the same communication system that Vince has. Vince can reach out and talk to you at any point, at any time about anything. And he had things on his mind. Vince he has no patience, and you just have to deal with it. And if you're not, unless you're a poor me guy, and I wasn't, because I got my ass chewed out on air many, many times. So it's just something you deal with, man. It's just something. He's the boss. He's writing the checks. He's paying me very, very well. So why would I complain about that type of criticism? It was just constructive criticism that was delivered in a very firm and no bullshit way. And so I dealt with it just fine.
KC wants to know, does JR think this current generation of wrestling commentators sometimes talk too much? It seems like some just don't know how to, quote unquote, lay out, or they're more concerned about getting themselves over instead of the talent. I don't know if I agree with that, but Jim, you obviously know more about wrestling announcing than any of us could ever imagine. Do you think that the modern announcers don't lay out enough?
I do.
Okay.
Quite frankly. I think they should let the pitchers speak more volumes than not. And laying out is an art form. It's not a matter if you lay out, it's a matter of when you lay out and let the action on the television screen speak for itself. And I think they could do a better job and a better service to their brand and the product if they laid out just a little bit more and let things evolve and then react to that as opposed to just filling time. And as you said, getting themselves over. That don't work for me.
Another question here from Charlie Murphy Jacks. This is an interesting one. If JR could book his last match to call using only active wrestlers from any promotion, who would it be?
That's a tough question because there's so many good talents out there. Probably something that involves Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. There's a lot of great AEW talents that I would give the opportunity to close the show, shall we say, and go about their business. AEW is very fortunate right now that we have a lot of great talents that could fill that role. But two names that come to mind are Omega and who did I mention? Omega and somebody. I'm distracted here. But Omega is one that you always want on your card to close the show if you can. That makes sense because he's always going to deliver, always going to deliver. But the roster of quality talent in AEW is growing. A year or two ago, you wouldn't have thought about Hangman Adam Page or some of these other cats that we're seeing on TV. Most of those guys, Connie, are entering their prime. Most of those guys will never be as good in the future as they are today. And I look at that very realistically. Omega's tried and true. He knows how to deliver in the big moment. I'm excited about Omega and Okada. I'm a big Okada fan. He's smooth as silk, and I love to watch him work. He just does a great job. And my first introduction to him was on the New Japan shows. I don't think we've even come close to seeing the very best of Okada as we're going to see. He's young and he's healthy, and he's, like I said, he's smooth as he can be. So I like him a lot. But Omega would take one of those spots up in the main event without question. But there are a lot of other guys on the AEW show that we'll see on Saturday that are going to turn our heads. That's the thing about the AEW roster is that they're very competitive, and they do a good job of trying to position themselves as the star of the show. And I encourage them to continue that philosophy.
No doubt about it. We are live here, and I hope that you have made plans to join us. If you haven't already, I want you to go right now to grillingjr.com, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell. You don't want to miss us the next time we're live. Grillingjr.com is just our YouTube, but it's totally free. We want it to be easy to find for you. So just type it in your browser right now, grillingjr.com, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell. You won't miss us the next time we're live. Pete Shue has a great question. He says, Jim, you've called a lot of great matches for a lot of great promotions. When do you think you were at your best? I mean, you were great calling a world title match in Crockett, helping make Mid-South and the UWF the most exciting TV on television, and helping get the stories in the WWE over. I do want to have a style conversation in just a minute, but when you think back on your personal performance through your career, is there an era or a time of your career where you think, man, I was at my best right then? That's some of my best work. I'm most proudest of that. What would that be?
Probably Steamboat and Flair
Okay.
would be one choice. There are a lot of choices that one could go to and single out, but probably Steamboat and Flair would have to be on my short list of great matches that I had the privilege of calling because they just got along so well. They had great chemistry. I don't know that they ever had a pre-match conversation about, okay, you do this and then I'll do that, and we'll make this work. They just had such natural chemistry that wasn't necessary. And when you get two guys that have that kind of chemistry, you're on the right road to a winning formula.
I do want to ask about your style. I know that obviously you've had some health challenges through the years that maybe had some stops and starts in your announcing career, but what were the differences, do you think, between your style for Leroy McGurk versus the way you would evolve a little bit from Mid South and the UWF for Watts? Of course, there was the World Championship Wrestling version of Jim Ross that we just talked about with like Flair and Steamboat. And then there is, the WWF's Jim Ross, which of course started as JR in a toga and then was just straight man JR. And then, of course, we settled into the iconic cowboy hat that has really defined probably your biggest success of your career from a mainstream perspective. But if you look at those different styles, the way you would approach commentary for each individual promotion was different. And I'm sure that that was intentional, but how did your job change? Because I know, in a more modern WWE times, man, you're running traffic on live TV with national sponsors. Like the stakes just grew with every turn in your career. So what you started doing and what you're finishing doing, those are kind of different things a little bit at this point, aren't they?
A little bit more refined, I think. But the bottom line is, you still want to call what you see on the screen.
Yes.
You want to not deviate too far from the visual that the audience is seeing on television. So I always try to keep it in a sports vernacular. And I think I've done a better job in my later years of laying out in a more timely basis. Laying out's a key element. And as we previously mentioned here on the show today, sometimes that doesn't happen because announcers are so hell bent on getting themselves over that sometimes it just doesn't work out very well. But you got to lay out. You got to let the picture speak for itself. And I've tried to get better at that over the years. It's not, you don't get paid by the word, and you get paid by the reactions and things of that nature, as opposed to just filling up time. I try to get better in my older age of not just wanting to fill up time and fill in the blanks. And like this Saturday in Dallas, I don't know what match I have. I know what matches I'd like to have. But Tony Khan takes good care of me with a match selection. So, and I appreciate that. He looks out for my style and my well-being in that regard. Okada. I mentioned Okada and Kenny Omega. Well, that's one of the featured matches on Saturday's afternoon show, and I hope I get the call to participate in that presentation. That's something that an announcer can only dream about. And I dream about it all the time because I have great respect for both those guys. And I feel like they're probably going to be in a position to close the show or close to it. So, it's just a matter, you got to change your style a little bit based on the match that you're calling, based on what you're seeing, and not over talking it. So I try not to over talk. And in the old days, I probably was guilty of that, trying to fill in all the blanks. And that's just not necessary in today's marketplace.
Well, great question here from Patrick J. As we're doubling down on our commentator conversation, he wants to know, where's the best place to commentate, Jim? Did you prefer having a desk at the top of the ramp like we saw at times in AEW and in the WWF, or did you prefer to have your ringside table ringside?
Ringside, without question. Not even a close, not even a hard answer. Hard to answer that one. I like to be close to the action. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to feel it. And being at ringside gives me the opportunity to do all those things.
We also want to ask about, well, Moam asks a great question. He says, as announcers, when the announce table is broken, why do we sometimes hear them say, like, my monitors are down, I can't see anything, when they could just look in the ring from a logical point of view? Is that simply based on, if your job as the commentator is not necessarily to explain what you as the commentator see, your job is to explain what the audience at home can see. And if you don't have the monitor, you don't know what they can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're reliant on the monitor. You want to be able to not get detached from what you see in your monitor, because what you see in your monitor is what the fans are seeing at home. So by not knowing what visual that they are being able to look at, makes it very makes it very challenging.
The Turnbuckle has a great question. He wants to know, had you stayed with WCW in 1993, so you're not going to jump, you're not going to be at WrestleMania in Las Vegas, you're not a part of Vince McMahon's organization, you're going to stick around WCW through the Eric Bischoff era. We know you leave in 93, Nitro's created in 95. Had you stuck around WCW, what do you think your career would have looked like? How different would it have been, Jim?
Less money, because Vince paid me very well for my role, and it would have been less money, I think. And nice working for Vince is cool because I had access to the decision maker, and that's something you always want to have. And no matter what job you got, you want to be able to communicate with your decision maker and the boss, shall we say. So I think I would have probably made a little bit less cash. It might not have been as stressful. I don't know. Eric and I had a difference of philosophy at times, which is not an indictment on him or me. It's just that we had different mindsets, and I made the right call. I'm so hard headed and stuck in my ways that to say that, oh well, this is bad, this is good. It's all subjective, and but I think I made the right call going from a second or third team announcer to somebody that was put into a position to be the voice of a brand, and it's a strong brand, no doubt about that.
We've got to do some international questions, but first, let's tell you how to save some money at savewithconrad.com. All right, folks, take a look at this chart right here. What we're seeing is that the percentage of disposable income that's really just going for debt service here in America is like 11.28%. It's been climbing ever since the pandemic. And what that means is folks are spending a lot of the money they earn today to pay for bills they ran up way back when. Is that you? Are you carrying credit card balances right now? Well, I want to encourage you, stop taking out new debt at really crazy high interest rates. And instead, let's start using some of that equity in your house. Someone who did exactly that was my man, Justin. He's an auto sales manager there in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was looking to do a little home remodeling, and he kind of liked the idea of getting rid of some debt. Well, check out these before and after photos. Justin actually used the equity in his house to turn his home into his dream home. Yeah. And on top of that, we paid off all of his debt, and he even got to skip 2 house payments. Like right now, if you haven't already, you don't have to make your July or your August payment. You're done until September 1st. And come September 1st, you could be saving a boatload of cash. Just ask Justin. He upgraded his house. He got rid of his credit card debt, and he's going to save $1,000 a month. How do you make your house nicer and get rid of your credit card debt and save money? It's easy. You go to savewithconrad.com. You let my team run the numbers for you for free, just like we did for Justin. By the way, there's no cost, there's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. So what are you waiting for? It costs nothing to look. And by the way, if you've been looking to see what rates are doing, let me put your peace of mind in play here. We've got a year 3 guarantee here at savewithconrad.com. All the experts seem to agree that interest rates are going to improve over the next few years. Well, I don't want you to miss out on that. So here's an opportunity for you to go ahead and start saving as much money as possible right now, but not waste money later. When interest rates improve, we'll throw you another refi without charging you a whole new set of lender fees. So you're going to save on closing costs later, but you'll start saving money today at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. And again, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some troubles in the past, You need a plan. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. Give me a shout at savewithconrad.com.
Key thing there, Conrad, is have a plan.
That's right.
Don't be like Ernie Ladd used to say, be like a cabbage, all head and no rear end. Have a plan. And that's what Conrad is encouraging you to do. Explore the options of having a plan. And, plan your work and work your plan. It's quite simply how it works. And Conrad's system is almost foolproof, in my opinion. So take a look at it that way. Don't come in, always come in with a plan. And if you do that, at the end of the day, you're going to feel more confident, more secure, and have less anxiety without question.
Go check it out. Savewithconrad.com. JR's a fan. You will be too.
Yep.
Hey, Troy has a great question here. Jim, what's your favorite overseas international crowd? Like, you've called matches and literally everywhere, from England to Japan to Germany to France and everywhere in between. But of all the different countries you've been to, is there one crowd that you think is maybe most memorable, or your favorite international crowd?
That's hard to answer because there's so many great crowds. I'd suggest that it would more likely be somewhere in the UK.
Yeah.
Because they had less issues with the language and so forth. So I'd say a UK crowd. We had some great shows in Manchester. We had some great shows at the O2 in London over the years. So I'd suggest that would be somewhere to start without question.
Luke wants to know, what's your favorite memory of all your time you spent in Japan? We haven't spent a lot of time talking about JR in Japan. Does an Okie have a good time in Japan?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have a good time wherever you want to have a good time, and I start my good times with food, and having great Japanese food is something I can't discount. So yeah, I think having good food in Japan, the fans are very passionate. They're a lot more educated to the English way of doing things than not. So Japan was always good. The fans are very respectful, and they're very enthusiastic. And if you get those two elements in place, it's hard to lose.
Chris wants to know, what are your thoughts on the Chamber of Horrors match in WCW? Jim, to jog your memory, this is the one where we had zombies in coffins and Abdullah the Butcher was electrocuted in the electric chair.
Yeah.
It was in Chattanooga, and it was when the Braves were in the World Series, like 45 minutes away. It was a crazy day in WCW history.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that extreme a gimmick match. I never thought that one worked. It was what it was, but I don't think it was great.
Cassie wants to know, who was your favorite wrestler to talk to backstage in the late 90s? We know you formed a big friendship with Steve Austin, but who are some people that you had friendships and relationships with, Jim, that we may not know about?
Well, all the agents, were important to the success of any presentation because like they were like the quarterback coach on the sideline of a game. They were their eyes and ears, and they would tell you how a talent felt about a finish or a booking or whatever. So I relied on the agents a lot. Like Jack Lanza was one of our key agents, and Jack had a great way of communicating with talent. He especially got along well with Stone Cold, and I learned from Cowboy early on that you take care of your stars, and you communicate with them, and you want to know their pulse. How are they feeling? What do they think about this? And sometimes when you're willing to lower your ego, you get great ideas from the talent. If they buy into something, then as a rule, it helps to work everything out. Talents that have a say in what they're doing is a good formula. It works out pretty damn well. So not that you can take their feedback to heart every time, but knowing what they like or what they don't like is very important.
We also want to do a question here from a wrestling historian, and I know that this is not something that you're usually a fan of, but I am curious when you really think back, what's your favorite prank that a wrestler did? Like I know as a rule of thumb, you weren't a big rib guy, but
No,
surely there had to be one that you thought, okay, that's not too terribly mean spirited or just downright rude. That's just funny. Is there one that stands out, or were you just opposed to all of them?
not really. I mean, some of them are entertaining and some of them are funny. There's no doubt about that. I'm not a no curmudgeon that I didn't like humor. But nothing stands out, Conrad, to answer your question directly, uh, quite honestly. But they're not all bad. It's just a matter of timing. When it's time for the bell to ring, let's get down to business. Let's go play. And that's kind of how I looked at it.
Well, they're getting down to business tonight. As you and I are recording, it's Wednesday morning. So tonight is Dynamite 300. We hope everyone enjoyed that. Obviously, it's something that aired last night as you're listening, but still in front of us is AEW's first ever stadium show here in America. Only the second All In here in America. Of course, the first All In predated AEW's existence. And Tony Khan has revealed that Coldplay is the reason that AEW isn't in Wembley Stadium this year. He also confirms that All In is returning to Wembley Stadium in 2026. Quote, we're going back to Wembley next year. Coldplay had booked that weekend out years in advance. I can't wait to do Globe Life Field in Dallas and then go back to Wembley next year. So, Jim, this is a big deal. You know, if you're a huge AEW fan and you're just a big wrestling fan, this is going to be a historic day. This is the first stadium show that wasn't a WWE show, really and truly ever. And I think I think that might be ever, but certainly since WCW. I mean, so this is a big rarefied deal, especially knowing that next year All In is going to be in Wembley. Of course, this year we've got the AEW Men's Casino Gauntlet match. We've also got the AEW Women's Casino Gauntlet match. We've got the Women's World Title on the line with Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné. We previewed it already a lot. I know it's the one that everyone's got circled on their calendar. I'm talking about the unification bout where Kenny Omega brings his international title and Okada brings his continental title. And we're going to have a new unified champion. But perhaps most of all, the main event is Jon Moxley and Adam Page. Adam Page has been the hero character of AEW for quite a while now, and we know that Jon Moxley and his Death Riders, they've even kept the world title out of sight from fans for what feels like forever at this point. It's a stacked card, but only 5 matches announced right now, Jim. I'm wondering, are we going to see a lot more matches announced this week and next week, or are we going to have some really long matches? Like I know Kenny Omega and Okada, they're not exactly known for having a 10-minute match. What do you expect next weekend in Dallas?
More matches to be added, I would guess. Uh, I don't think 5 is going to get it done, but more matches will be added. I'm under the impression, no inside information, no spoiler. I just think there'll be more. You want to take care of your talents that have worked their
Sure.
ass off, uh, and put them on that show because it gives them a chance to star and steal the show. Quite frankly, so I'm under the impression we'll have more matches added. Don't know what they are. Don't know that to be conclusive, but it's something I think that will happen. So because there's a lot of talents that we did not mention that deserve to be on that show, who will go out there and work their ass off and try to steal the show and underscore their involvement in the card.
Well, it's going to be a who's who of AEW stars and, of course, the legends and Hall of Famers from yesteryear at StarCast. It's Friday, July 11th, Saturday, July 12th. If you're not totally familiar, let me just catch you up. AEW has Dynamite in Garland, Texas, which is a short drive from Arlington on Wednesday. They'll be back there live again on Thursday for another AEW collision in Garland, Texas. Friday morning, you get to start with StarCast and you'll finish with a Ring of Honor pay-per-view right next door at the Esports Arena. And when I say right next door, I mean like the same parking lot. And then on Saturday morning, when you wake up, man, it's time to jump in there with all the great legends. We've still got a handful that we haven't announced yet, including a lot of free stuff that we've never had before at StarCast. It's going to be a StarCast like no other, and it's happening on Friday, July 11th and Saturday, July 12th. Now, we're going to shut it down in the afternoon because we're going to go a block or two away to Globe Life Field. It really is that close. It's walking distance to Globe Life. You'll be able to walk right through the turnstile, and bam, I am here to witness history, AEW's first stadium show. And immediately following the AEW All In opportunity, we're going to have an after party. We're going to have more meet and greets. We're going to have games. We're going to have prizes where you can win tickets. It's all happening back at the Sheraton. And yes, if you're a big wrestling fan, the rumor and innuendo is that Goldberg is wrestling in Atlanta that day on Saturday night's main event. This is a big time day in wrestling history, Saturday, July 12th, don't you think?
Yeah, Goldberg's he's working with who? Gunther?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that ought to be good. As long as it's kept relatively succinct and they're not out there filling time, they're out there telling a story. Both those guys have the opportunity to tell distinctive stories that should be interesting to follow and to watch. But it's all hands on deck, as the cowboy used to say, and we got all hands on deck in this environment. So I think it's going to be a great pro wrestling weekend.
It is going to be a great pro wrestling weekend. We hope you'll make plans to join us. I do want to put a button on this week's episode, Jim. I had a blast bouncing around and covering a lot of different topics. But this past weekend, I guess it was last Saturday afternoon, we saw a show that a lot of people were kind of curious about how they would pull it off. Of course, we're talking about WWE doing Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. This is just a few days removed from some pretty hot action over there with Iran. And, well, it just felt like this was maybe a sketchy place to be. Well, listen, the show went off without a hitch. It feels like there was no security troubles, no woes. Everybody's safe and sound. But the show was not without controversy. I guess a few years ago, CM Punk put a fairly controversial tweet out there. And I know it was aimed at The Miz, but certainly he referenced Saudi Arabia. And there was an interaction that supposedly happened on like a press tour, a press junket, where they're just sort of hyping up the event, where CM Punk had an exchange with a fan in the crowd and addressed it on the microphone and apologized to the people of Saudi Arabia. They actually replayed that before SmackDown on Friday, and I think before Night of Champions on Saturday for the crowd in the house. And Dave Meltzer believes, and a lot of people have said this, that, hey, that was all a staged publicity thing. I mean, make no mistake, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is paying WWE a boatload of cash. I guess that's not too far fetched, but a lot of people are now jumping on CM Punk, Jim, and saying, "Oh, you're such a hypocrite. You were critical of Miz for going to Saudi Arabia. Now you yourself find yourself going to Saudi Arabia." Listen, I'd like to say that we all have the capacity to learn and grow and get better and evolve and all that. But also, who the fuck are we to tell somebody where they can or can't go or should or shouldn't do for their career or their family? Or I don't know. It feels like a silly conversation. But I know you've had to deal with things like this in talent relations. What do you make of this not a real controversy of CM Punk in Saudi Arabia?
It's overthought.
I agree.
Overthought. And, I know that Punk's heart is in the right place. He's controversial. That's why he's so fun to follow. Phil's a good friend of mine. I am a full-on supporter of his work.
Yes.
I really am. I still wish he was at AEW, quite frankly. He adds a lot to any presentation that he's involved in. So I think we're overthinking it a little bit, quite honestly. And it kind of gets a little bit, I don't know. It gets a little bit overthought, as I said. It's just take it easy.
It's supposed to be wrestling. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining.
It's supposed to be. That's what I've always thought.
Well, it was entertaining. We saw John Cena and CM Punk have, I guess, what could be described as like a WrestleMania main event. I mean, it felt like a miniature Royal Rumble, one entrance after another. Lots of interference, lots of fun, lots of gaga. We also saw Solo beat Jacob Fatu to become the new U.S. champion, and we saw the bloodline continue to expand. We saw Sami Zayn beat Karrion Cross, Rhea Ripley beat Raquel Rodriguez, Jade Cargill became the 2025 Women's Queen of the Ring, and Cody Rhodes beat Randy Orton to become the 2025 Men's King of the Ring. And a couple of days later, this past Monday, the Codester turned the big 4-0. Man, who would have had it on their bingo card that Cody would have enjoyed all this success? I mean,
Especially
three
when you're
rest.
a guy, especially, I'm sorry, Conrad, excuse me. Especially when you're a guy like me that's known Cody Rhodes since he was in diapers, literally.
Right. Yes.
So, take it easy, folks. He's got a job to do. He's doing it the best he can. He's a hell of a hand. And I have great respect for Cody and his work. So, I think sometimes people take this shit too seriously. I just say relax. Uh, you know, what's the expression I use sometimes? Lighten up, Francis.
Yes.
Lighten up, folks. Just enjoy the presentation. You're either going to like it or you're not. If you do like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool again. Something else is going to come on sooner than later, and you can enjoy that.
We hope that you have enjoyed our time today on Grilling JR, and something else I know that you'll enjoy, especially right now during peak summer months, is getting outside and grilling with our friends at jrsbbq.com. He's got something for everybody. He's got mustard, he's got ketchup, he's got barbecue sauce, he's got hot sauce, he's got your all purpose seasoning. It's good on everything. Everything from fish to chicken to pork to steak to eggs to popcorn. There's even autographed books and action figures and trading cards. Oh my. Something for everybody at jrsbbq.com. And while Jim is in Jacksonville Beach, his warehouse and shipping facilities are in Oklahoma. And a great friend of the show is taking care of everything there. Your stuff is shipping within 24 hours of your order. They do a fabulous job. I mean, you can just read about the customer service. You guys have a reputation for delivering great products, Jim, but also for having outstanding customer service.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on that, Conrad. It's important to take care of your people, take care of those that are buying the product, and I think my team does a good job of that. Real good job, as a matter of fact.
Well, we hope you guys will check them out. It's grillingjr.com is where you can see our show and be a part. And jrsbbq.com is where you can go and load up on everything you need this summer. And Jim and I are going to be loading up and heading to Texas next week. When we record next week, it will be our last episode before we're both together in Texas. It only feels right, Jim, that if you're coming in town on a Thursday, I think me and you and Silva, we got to hook up for a steak in Dallas. What say you?
I think you're right. I think that's a great idea. Probably one of the better ideas you've had. So yeah, I'm ready to have a steak in Texas, and I know a lot of good places to go. I lived in Dallas for a good while.
Oh,
Back,
wow.
yeah, back in the Crockett days. I hung my hat there, shall we say. I learned a good real estate lesson while there. I lost my ass on a house, but that's my fault because I didn't do enough due diligence. If I had a Conrad, savewithconrad.com device to utilize, I would have been a lot better off.
Hell
That's
yeah.
that's why I encourage you guys to check out Conrad services there because you can save a lot of money and you can have a plan. And having a plan, as I mentioned, is extremely important.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you saying that. I hope everybody checks out savewithconrad.com. And I hope you'll come check us out next weekend at StarCast. Jim and I are both going to be there on Friday, July 11th. That's STARRCAST.com. And then we're going to see JR doing what he does best, just a couple of blocks away on Saturday, July 12th. Jim Ross is back behind the microphone for AEW at All In. Go grab your tickets right now at AEWTIX.com. Jim, I had a blast, man. I can't thank you enough for all the time. I like these Ask JR Anything episodes.
Me too. Me too. It's always good to find out what the fans are thinking, what they're interested in. That's important for me to know and to participate. So I'm with you, Connie. I like communicating with our audience and our fans. It lets us know what they're thinking, and it's like market research, shall we say. So it's good stuff, man. I appreciate you very much, and Bull Ramus, aka Dave Silva, for compiling all these questions and all that stuff. So it's we have a good team effort here, and it's a good team. We get along well. We try to do our best to service our audience, and that's just like you do on your real estate end. We want to do our best to service our audience, and that's what we're doing.
Yes, sir. And we're going to do it again next week. Join us right here each and every week on Grilling JR with the voice of professional wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
And we'll see you guys in Dallas, or the confines of the Lone Star State. Hope you'll join us and be a part of it. And so it's been a fun morning. I enjoy these Q&As. It's just good to get inside the head of the fans. And I thank all of them for taking the time out of their schedule to present these questions. It gives us a lot of real good information. So thank you guys very much for being with us. Conrad, thank you, and Dave, for all your hard work. And I'll see you guys in Texas.
Sounds good. We'll see you next week right here on grillingjr.com.
Boomer Sooner.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.